Today it's lecture 6 and we're going to be talking about externalities, and this is the last content lecture of investment decisions, so I hope that you enjoy. Today we're going to talk about costs of your products, how you can measure costs not only by actually producing, so direct costs or indirect costs as we have been seeing before, but also external costs, which can be either positive or negative for society. Today it's lecture 6 and we're going to be talking about externalities. So take a moment to reflect on what is a true cost, for example, for an asset such as water. So does it cost of how much we pay for a water bottle, for instance, does it reflect the market price? So maybe some of you would think, well, actually, water should be free in the first place. This is essential for our survival, so we shouldn't be paying for this and be trapped by the, the companies who charge for water. This can be one approach, but still, you have the prices of cleaning this water, of extracting maybe this water, of producing and recycling the water bottle if you're storing this in a water bottle. So the price is there. So maybe you say, okay, I shouldn't pay for this price in such a way that it should come from subsidies, for instance, from the government, but the price is there. So if you go into even more details on how to manage this water, for example, if you're talking about circular economy, and we want to create a water treatment plant in such a way that the water is not only consumed and then released somewhere in the environment, but also we have planned in the municipality wastewater treatment plants that can actually clean this water, but also recover nutrients from this water to use as fertilizers, for instance. Or we want to create water bottles that you create logistics which you can get back these water bottles and you can recycle those or recover the nutrients for using for another purpose. So what is the cost involved in all this process? So maybe you tend to think more related to the water or the bottle itself, but how about the societal external costs or benefits? Today it's lecture 6 and we're going to be talking about externalities, and this is the last content lecture of investment decisions. So I think that you're already familiar with this diagram. This is a circular economy system diagram created by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, also informally known as the butterfly diagram because of this shape, like with the wings from the butterfly. So if you don't know about this diagram yet, I make a short summary. Let's see how this goes. So in the upper part over there, you have the renewables, where you can read it in renewables and a few other things. So the goal, basically, according to the circular economy system, is at the beginning. So first of all, to preserve and enhance natural capital. So you can do that by managing really well your stocks and your resource flows in general. So not use more than actually you need. So just use the essential. So just after that, you would have to, so you have all this process in the wings. The goal of this process is to optimize the resource use. So in the left side, you have the biological cycle. So you can, for example, um, collect waste, for instance, to produce biogas and bring back this biogas in the system so that it can actually feed the process of manufacturing. And also in the right side, the technical cycle. So actually the material, the technical material, you can still keep this material in the loop by sharing, maintaining, reusing, refurbishing, recycling, and so on. So what I would like to highlight for this class over here is actually all the way in the end where you can read minimize systematic leakage and negative externalities. Today it's lecture 6 and we're going to be talking about externalities, and this is the last content lecture of investment decisions, so I hope that you enjoy. Today we're going to talk about costs of your products, how you can measure costs not only by actually producing, so direct costs or indirect costs as we have been seeing before, but also external costs, which can be either positive or negative for society. So take a moment to. So before we talk about negative externality per se, let's just talk about the externalities in the first place. So an externality is either a damage or benefit, which can be also mentioned as positive or negative uh, impact on a third party not directly related to the transaction. So what it means by that, for example, you have a company and the process of this company, for example, talking about the water that we mentioned before, so the process of producing the water bottles and also cleaning the water and making it drinkable for society. All these processes, which is here called transaction, they also have an impact, either positive or negative, on society. So let's see some other examples. Let's say that you have a company and this company has a certain amount of employees, 100, 500 employees. And in a way, in an approach to enhance the positive externality, you give an incentive to your employees. You say you can get an extra payment in your salary if instead of coming to work using your car, you could come walking or cycling. So in this way, your company could enhance the positive externality, which is already there. It's already a potential positive externality, but some companies choose to use this as a benefit for the company or not. For the company, no, for the society or not. And in this way, you would be enhancing the benefit to society because, for example, you could reduce traffic jam or an amount of pollution, of the CO2 equivalent pollution released in the atmosphere. And on the other side, you could have a company. So the same company could be investing in air travel companies so that the employees could go to business travels or conferences and so on to countries abroad, let's say. And in this way, it would be an approach which cause an extra cost or an extra damage to the environment where this company is located. Well, between the between the air travels, because it would be polluting uh, from one point to another. So in this way, a negative externality would be playing a role. Okay, so in this slide we have some other examples. You can take a look by pausing the video. Today it's lecture 6 and we're going to be talking about externalities, and this is the last. Also in the same study from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation from 2015, they created a scenario which was predicting what could happen in a circular scenario by 2030. So what is a circular economy opportunity? So by analyzing the circular economy opportunity in Europe, they analyzed that the process in which the society in Europe happens nowadays. Here's the process of today. Let me mark over here. So this is the process of today. We live in a society in which the process have some primary resource costs, and by that we could say that this is the agricultural land or water used by society, fuels used by society, um, construction materials, fertilizers, pesticides, and so on. But on the top of this, you have other expenditures, okay, connected to the primary resource costs, but indirect costs in this way for mobility, food, housing, and so on. And on the top of this, you also have external costs. So by this, this study from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they refer to the negative externality, okay? So when you saw the butterfly diagram, to minimize the negative externalities is the same what is meant here. So this is not included the positive externalities. So why I'm showing this? Because the scenario for 2030, so you can see it over here, predicts a 25% decrease in the overall costs for a circular scenario for Europe in the future. And this would mean as well pricing the negative costs and reducing those. So you can see a 25% decrease over here. So this negative externalities, for example, for the case of Europe where this study was done, could be, for example, for air pollution caused by cars, or traffic jams, or other types of pollution, noise pollution, healthcare. So, for example, healthcare issues related to obesity. So, yeah. So if we aim for reducing these negative external costs, which are not connected to the price in which we pay nowadays for our products, if we include those and also reduce these negative externalities, we can actually reduce our overall costs in a circular future. Today is lecture 6 and we're going to be talking. So let's see visually how this applies to a market functioning in a chart. So there's a chart of supply and demand, and you're going to understand by analyzing this chart how equilibrium price between the demand and supply is planned. So this first function that you see over here, this is a function of the demand, also called the marginal benefit. So at the beginning, the consumer, let's say that this is a case for selling cans of peas, and the demand from consumers tell you that at the beginning, the marginal benefits of selling these peas are high, but then the more and more consumers buy, this marginal benefit decreases over time. While the supply function of also called marginal cost, it plays a different role. So this would be the supply by the manufacturers. So you see over here. So at the beginning, the overall costs, so the overall marginal costs of producing these cans of peas, they are low, but the more and more that the suppliers have to produce, the higher marginal costs they have. So if you see, these two functions, they have an intersection somewhere here. So this intersection represents the equilibrium quantity, or also the equilibrium price of this certain product. So if we trace where this equilibrium is going, this for 15 million cans bought, and the overall equilibrium price, I don't have it here in this slide, but I can say that is somewhere close to 1.5 euros per can. So what can you find by analyzing this area over here? So by analyzing this area over here, we see the difference between the marginal cost and the marginal benefit. So everything that's below or in the left side of the equilibrium quantity represents a higher marginal benefit compared to the marginal cost. So this is the total benefit both for the manufacturers and the consumers. So after this equilibrium quantity, the marginal costs, they ended up being higher than the marginal benefit. today, but compared to what we have seen so far, talking about circular economy, bio-based economy, you know that this market functioning of supply and demand only based on the cost of producing a product, it doesn't reflect to the impact that can be caused on the environment, on society, in which we have seen and called as externalities. So these prices of market functioning nowadays for most of the products, for the majority of the products that we have in the market, they don't match to the true value of the assets. So talking about the water bottle, for example, the amount of money that we pay for buying a bottle of water, it doesn't match to the true cost, the true value of this water. So us as environmental scientists, it's really important that we know how to advocate this, because maybe in the future we're going to be working as consultant for companies, which you need to measure the positive externalities related to a certain project that you're involved with, or you have a startup of your, yeah, you're the owner of your own company, and you want to advocate to society, okay, actually this is not only a water bottle, but it's a water bottle which bring positive aspects, benefits to society related to health, or reducing health risks, increasing, enhancing the water quality in the environment, and so on. Today it's lecture 6, and let's see what happens if we include these positive or negative externalities in the same chart that we just have seen before. So here you have again the same charge, which is showing the equilibrium point between the demand and the supply. But this time we want to include the positive externalities. So let's say that for the same business of selling a certain type of piece, we know that this specific production of piece, they help controlling pests around and also enhancing the air quality. And then us as consultants maybe, or owners of this company, we want to advocate these benefits of the production of peace, and we want to include the costs of these benefits by saying that this external benefit of producing this type of peace, they represent 0.50 cents of euro per can. So instead of having this function over here with the equilibrium point close to 15 million cans per sold, now we can include the external benefit, because before we could see that this was somewhere between 1.5 euro per can, and then by including the 50 cents of euro per can, we find this 2 euro. So the demand now can be also summed up by the social benefit. So this business is offering a social benefit. So if the market, what happens if you have this new function over here? You see that the new equilibrium point, this goes almost close to 20. So maybe this is somewhere between 18 or 19. So if the market price ignores these positive externalities, we are underestimating consumption, because before we said that the equilibrium price was 50 millions of cans sold. So this was the equilibrium price, and everything below this equilibrium price was a benefit. And now we say actually we offer more benefit than only selling the piece. We also have the benefit of air quality or pest control. So the new area also includes the social benefit over here. Today it's lecture 6, and we're going to be talking about externalities. And this is the last content lecture of investment decisions. So I hope that you enjoy. Today we're going to talk about costs of your products, how you can measure costs not only by actually producing, so direct costs or indirect costs, as we have been seeing before, but also external costs, which can be either positive or negative for society. So take a moment to reflect on what is a true cost, for example, for an asset such as water. So does it cost of how much we pay for a water bottle, for instance, does it reflect the market price? So maybe some of you would think, well, actually, water should be free in the first place. This is essential for our survival, so we shouldn't. While in the negative, for the negative externalities, we could say, for example, that this type of peas they also offer, apart from just producing the cans of peas, they also pollute the environment. So they have a negative external cost of 0.5 cents of euro per can. So instead of including this benefit for the demand, now we're going to look at the supply, because here we are looking for the marginal costs. And now we're going to include this 50 cents per can over here. And we see that the marginal costs plus the social costs of pollution, they actually bring back the equilibrium to somewhere maybe 12.5, 12, 15, something like this. So actually the benefits that before also included this area, now it doesn't include anymore. And this area over here, this represents the social welfare loss. So this is when the market output supplied is higher than the social optimal. So the supplied was here in the equilibrium point for 15, and the equilibrium point, so the equilibrium optimal should actually be here somewhere between 12 and 13, because actually pollution is not taken into account. Okay, so one way of mitigating this would be, for example, by implementing additional taxes for companies who pollute. So in this way, they would have to pay even more, and this wouldn't stimulate their business to keep on going. Or also incentives, as mentioned before, incentives for the consumers to choose for other alternative products, which can actually improve, offer positive impacts to society. Today, a summary of how to overcome these externalities would be, for example, as just saying for the negative ones, to implement taxes, so create new taxes which can reduce the negative externalities consumption. So this happens, for example, in Europe for diesel cars. So the taxes paid for diesel fuel is higher than other types of fuels. So this is one way of reducing, minimizing the negative externality. Another one would be, as seen in the example for the positive externalities, to implement new subsidies to increase the consumption of, for example, in the example of the can of peas, which you could enhance the consumption of a type of peas which can improve the pest control, air quality, also create regulations to limit the amount of pollutions in the first place. So this would be for the negative externalities, that you don't allow companies to actually release this amount of pollution to the environment in the first place, and also offer incentives to choose for less costly environmental choices. So this would be, for example, the case of a supermarket which could offer a special discount for consumers to buy biological or other products which can offer something additional positive to the world. But to conclude this class, this is not that simple. Unfortunately, it's not just about creating taxes, subsidies, but also especially analyzing the overall impact. Today, unfortunately, this is not that simple. For example, for the case of palm oil, subsidies, they were created as an alternative within the bio-based economy, to offer an alternative for the use of fossil fuels. So subsidies, they were created in a way that could enhance the positive externality of not emitting as much pollution, for example, to the atmosphere. But in the other way, it also offers a negative environmental impact to the local community for um, extracting these plants, for example, from Indonesia, negative impacts to the people who live there, who maybe uh, don't get enough money for this type of business, or because the local market was dependent on this as well, or because this type of species influence on the survival of other species, so this influence on the biodiversity loss. So this happens very, very often to circular bio-based business in the first place, because we create alternatives to decrease negative impacts or minimize impacts, but at the same time, it has some side effects. So we have to keep an holistic view on this in order to be able to understand and plan our external costs more. So I hope this was useful to you. This is the end exercise, and good luck in the workshop.